Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the 14th Amendment and why it is so important to gun rights. Okay, so I'm going to keep this kind of general. I'm basically sending you in a general direction to go do some more research. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but the 14th Amendment is just as important as the Second Amendment with regards to gun rights. And the reason for that is when the Bill of Rights was written, okay, it was basically a limitation on the federal government. Okay, so when they're talking about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, no unwarranted searches and seizures, no quartering troops in your house, that's all directed to the federal government, not the states. Okay, in fact, if you look at the 10th Amendment specifically says that any powers that the states do not expressly give up to the federal government, they retain for themselves. Okay, so that's really important. That pretty much makes it very clear that the Second Amendment, okay, and all the other amendments in the Bill, right, only is basically a limitation on the federal government. The states can do whatever they want. And what happened is that became a problem after the Civil War, because what the states were trying to do was they were trying to deny black people their civil rights, because they were basically saying that, hey, the protections of the Bill of Rights is a limitation on the federal government, not on the states. Okay, so they had to pass another amendment, right, which was ratified by the states, the 14th Amendment, which basically said that, hey, everything that's in the Bill of Rights, okay, all those other rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, right to bear arms, freedom against searches and seizures, no cruel or unusual punishment. The 14th Amendment said that all of that now applies to the states. Okay, so without the 14th Amendment, okay, the anti-gunners would be correct, okay, that the states can do whatever they want with gun rights. Second Amendment would only be a limitation on the federal government. But because of the 14th Amendment, the states are also now are basically limited by the Second Amendment. They cannot infringe upon our Second Amendment rights and anything else that is in the Bill of Rights. So that's the 14th Amendment. So this is something that you want to really familiarize yourself. And every time the anti-gunners tell you that, hey, the states can do whatever they want, the answer is no, they cannot do whatever they want because of the 14th Amendment. The states are bound by the right to bear arms, right? They cannot, basically, they're bound by the command of the Second Amendment, which is, shall not be infringed. Now, if you notice that there's no exception to the Second Amendment. There's no exception. Now, I understand that to date, the Supreme Court has allowed for some exceptions, but I think that if we are able to keep putting originalist judges on the Supreme Court, right, if we're able to do this slowly, little by little over time, they're going to come back to the true meaning of the Second Amendment, which is shall not be infringed, means exactly that. The conservative judges on the Supreme Court are incrementalists. Okay, they're kind of scared to make big changes. They're never going to just say, hey, all gun control is unconstitutional. They might believe it, but they're not going to do it because they're afraid of making rapid changes too fast. I mean, the very idea of being a conservative, right, is that you don't like fast changes, right? So the conservative justices on the Supreme Court are going, because there's two conflicting ideas here. There's the conservatives, which don't like changes, and then you got the originalists that basically want to go back to the original words of the Bill of Rights, of the Constitution, and apply it word for word exactly the way that it was, exactly according to the meaning that it had when it was written. And these are the same people. It's just that they're kind of conflicted, okay? They want to be originalists, but they're kind of scared. So they're being conservatives, meaning that they're going slowly, so that they can originally get back to originalism. So that's kind of how I read it, especially with Justice Roberts, okay? I think there's several there's several instances that have come up where people have said that, you know, who know him, who are familiar with the way he thinks, that have said that, you know, he's afraid to make big changes fast. He likes making a small change, sitting back, you know, seeing what effect it has, then he makes another change. So it's kind of like a step-by-step thing with him. That's why it took so long to go from, you know, from Heller to McDonald, you know, to the Catano case, to the Bruen case, right? You know, it's a slow thing. You know, I'm hoping that they start picking up the pace a little bit. But that's the deal. I wanted to make you guys aware of the 14th Amendment, why it's so important to the Second Amendment, because without the 14th Amendment, yeah, the anti-gunners would be correct. Second Amendment only is a limitation on the federal government. But because of the 14th Amendment, it is also now a limitation on the states as well, okay? Important thing, there's one of the things that the anti-gunners will try and do is, hey, 14th Amendment was passed after the Civil War, and what they want to try and do is look and see if there's any gun control that existed at the time, and say that that's, you know, that those gun control laws would be constitutional because they existed when the 14th Amendment was ratified. But the Supreme Court has said that, nope, you got to go all the way back to 1791, okay? You know, that's the 14th Amendment basically references back to the Bill of Rights when it was originally passed. It didn't create a new Bill of Rights at the time that the 14th Amendment was ratified. Okay, so that's one of the things that you want to be careful of. Now, one of the places that you should go and basically watch lots of videos is a channel called the Four Boxes Diner. It's run by a man named Mark Smith. He's a constitutional scholar. This guy actually he actually speaks before the Federalist Society. So basically, this is a guy that has judges and lawyers listening to him. Okay, so the things that this guy says is important. The way that he presents things is in a way that would be digestible to judges and lawyers, right? So you kind of have to get a little bit in their mindset. You know, we can't look at it from our mindset. We got to look at it from their mindset. There's some cases that have come down that have set precedents. So in order to get anywhere, we kind of have to work within those rules, right? Even if we don't like it. So if you want to understand the rules of this game, okay, that's the place to go. Go to the Four Boxes Diner. I'll throw a link below to one of their in the description. I'll throw a link to some random video from that channel, so that you guys can you know get yourself subscribed and just stay up to date and learn as much as you can. We have to educate ourselves as much as possible. Okay. Now we don't need to educate ourselves to the point where we are like able to like do speeches, right? Because like I said that, hey, I'm going to point you in a general direction to go do your own research on the 14th Amendment, right? So you want to be knowledgeable of it, not that you're going to go, become a professor on, on constitutional law, but you want to be more knowledgeable about it than the anti-gunners. Okay, so it's up to us. We have to basically, we have to arm up with knowledge. Okay, we have to arm ourselves up with as much knowledge as possible so that we can intelligently push back against the anti-gunners. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon.